And we're getting right down to another FBI raid. This happened before the Trump raid. And I heard it. The only place I heard it from was Nico House. And when I heard it, I was like, whoa, that's crazy. So we're going to talk about a black liberation group. And I'm not the most expert in them. I just know I've heard of them. I kind of don't rock with them because they do a little bit more of the race stuff, a lot more of the race stuff than I like. But I never have any beef with them. I never had any problem with them. Never spoke out against them or anything like that. But they got raided before Trump. I actually retweeted this from Nico House right here.
Leaders of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement and the African People's Socialist Movement had their homes violently raided on Friday morning at 5 a.m. with flashbang grenades. Well, the FBI has concluded that these leaders were colluding with Russia to interfere with the 2016 election. The reason that they have concluded this is because Omali and other leaders went to a conference in Russia for an anti-globalization movement. A conference, by the way, that included national leaders from all over the globe. And this happened in 2014, by the way. It is 2022. The Russiagate scandal has been done and over with for literally years now. So I want everybody to understand something. This whole let's pretend that every black liberation group and every black leader who wants black people to be liberated from the oppressive systems that they've oftentimes been forced into, and pretending as if they're all colluding with Russia to undermine the US government, like that's old. That's been happening. They did this to Malcolm X. They did this to the Black Panthers. They've done this to Martin Luther King. When I saw this, I actually thought that this was a headline from 1974, which would have made a lot of sense. But they're still doing it today. Because liberation, especially black liberation, is antithetical to US imperialism. And these systems are only held in place and can only be maintained if people willingly cooperate with their oppressors. And in an age where everybody is growing more enlightened, growing more informed, and growing more frustrated, the last thing the oppressors want is for you to organize and liberate yourselves from their oppression. At least, that's what I think anyway. Leaders.
That's my dude. That's my dude. Well, that's his handle, is Real Nico House, but that's Nico House. Great YouTube channel. This is a left-leaning, populist left. Really like his work. One of the first YouTubers that when I started jumping on Twitter and doing my own channel, one of the first YouTubers I followed. And that's why I mess with him. He's talking about the FBI running up on the Uhuru Black Liberation Movement. This is a group that will talk about imperialism and the Angry Canuck. You might know more about them than I do. He said they got raided because they showed support. I want to avoid YouTube triggers on this because I'm not really getting into the Ukraine stuff too much. But they showed some support to a certain side, and they spoke out against U.S. foreign policy. So now they're a target. And this is something that the populist right can get aboard on and the populist left can get aboard on. You might have heard recently, Brianna Joy Gray came out and said, hey, Marjorie Taylor Greene is right. This is a area where both of our interests intersect. They don't like the FBI. Populist right doesn't like the FBI. And I don't know what that looks like, but we should be able to work together. Angry Canuck also said they stood in front of a government building with its flag and demanded U.S. not support certain government. So they're not afraid to speak out against the U.S. government. Then a couple days later, they got raided. FBI targets black liberation activists, claims Russia used them as pawns to spread propaganda. So they rolled up in the crib. 5 a.m. in the morning on July 29th. I think this is what we're talking about here. I didn't hear about it until August 4th, but this is what we're talking about. At 5 a.m. in the morning, they went to the home of 80-year-old APSP founder Omali Yeshitela and the African People's Solidarity Committee chair Penny Hess. FBI agents simultaneously busted into the Uhuru house and the group's radio station Black Power 96.3 LFM in St. Petersburg, Florida. So they told the leader that they raided his home because they had indicted a Russian national. This Moscow resident, who the U.S. Justice Department claims engaged in campaign to influence U.S. political groups and interfere in the U.S. election, he founded a group called the Anti-Globalization Movement of Russia that hosted international solidarity conferences. So it's exactly what Angry Canuck and you just heard Nico House just talk about. It's the same type of thing. Doesn't look good. Doesn't look right. That's an area that we can get together on, right?